Gourmet food trucks have taken Central Florida by storm, leaving customers hungry for more. But what does it take to get mobile kitchens on the road? And how do owners identify profitable locations? We'll talk food trucks next on UCF Metro Center Outlook.
This program is made possible by funding from the UCF Metropolitan Center for Regional Studies, where government leaders, business executives, and academic experts come together to discuss major issues facing the state of Florida.
Hello everyone, welcome to UCF Metro Center Outlook. I'm Diane Trees, Director of the UCF Metropolitan Center for Regional Studies, and your host for Metro Center Outlook. Gourmet food trucks first hit Central Florida's streets in early 2011, and now more than 80 local trucks are serving everything from Italian ice to Korean tacos. With social media drawing customers, food trucks are proving that small businesses can find a niche in an economy rocked by recession. Thanks to his March 2011 launch of the food truck Bazaar, Mark Baratelli has helped gourmet food trucks take off regionally. Mark joins us today to discuss Central Florida's food truck boom. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You are credited with putting gourmet food trucks on the map for Central Florida. Talk a little bit about your background. How did you get involved with the food trucks?
Well, my background is in acting and performing, and I went on a national tour and went to over 100 North American cities. And I saw city after city after city and how they were laid out. And I would take these long walks and take all these hundreds of photos. And one thing I noticed, among other things, was food trucks.
And did you eat off of them?
Yes, yes, in San Francisco and Portland and New York City and other cities. And when I came back in 2009 to put roots down in Orlando, I was running this blog called The Daily City, and I found out there were food trucks on Cimarron and OBT, and I had no idea that they were here. And I was like, someone should be talking about this. I don't understand why we're not talking about this.
So it was already well established in some of the cities that you visited, and then coming back here, you recognized there were some, just not out there and publicized.
Yeah, it was known in neighborhoods and little enclaves, and if you lived in those areas, you were well aware of those trucks, and they were established, and they had followings, and they've been around for years. But sort of the mainstream didn't know about it, and so I started this thing called the Taco Truck Taste Test, which I now know you do not call them taco trucks, they are called food trucks. And that shows my ignorance, how much I knew it back then. But basically what I would do is I would invite my blog readers to come with me to one truck at a time, taste the food. We would have to interpret the menu from Spanish to English, and we would sample it all together. And the motto of that was, we meet, we eat, we retreat. Because back then...
That wasn't a reflection on the quality of the food.
Absolutely not, but it was a way to acknowledge the fact that back then, mainstream Orlando was not eating from food trucks, was not pulling off on the side of the road to eat from a truck. It was not happening.
Well, how did you go from there then to the idea of really getting a bazaar and organizing those elements?
So I read about, I kept doing that for a year or two, and then I read about this thing called the Hell's Kitchen Food Truck Bazaar. And
Not in Orlando.
Not in Orlando. And it was the opposite of what I was doing. I was bringing an audience to this truck, and then an audience next month to this truck. This was bringing trucks from all 5 boroughs in New York City to one location, and it was partnering it with a farmer's market.
So a different philosophy altogether. Tell us a little bit, what goes into organizing the bazaars? How do you even find or pick locations?
I don't know how I do it. I really.
It's amazing.
It's brilliant. It's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that no one but me could do.
There are elements in it that are really unique.
Yes, I think at the core of what the event is, we're in July, we have like 11 or so events, and more are on the way. But the core is that it's community coming together to eat dinner outside.
And that's very much the case. All kinds of people, ages.
Yeah, income levels, everything. It is a completely neutral playing ground. You feel, it's like a theme park. You feel like you can come in and it's just all about it is all about the food. I mean, people have suggested adding this and that, adding bounce houses and adding music and adding this and that. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's people bringing out their lawn chairs, sitting around with their friends and family, sometimes in unused urban spaces like parking lots, and just having a good time. And then on top of that, we're supporting this industry that is less than 2 years old, which is wonderful.
Why do you think, though, that the food trucks have taken off so much? I mean, they're small independent businesses, and there's a lot of fast food restaurants, food chains in Orlando. So it's a little bit, is it a sign of the times? Do you think our culture's changing here? You've been here a while.
I think point blank, we all watch TV. We all watch the Food Network, and we all saw these trucks on TV. And the
fact, going to other cities, you notice them when you're there, like you did.
Yes. And then I think when people find out that we have this scene, we have so many trucks, people are like, oh, I saw it on TV, it's in my city. I had no idea. There's that. There's also, people are looking for something different. I mean, brick and mortar restaurants are fantastic. The chain restaurants are great. They serve a purpose. The local restaurants are great. This is a totally different industry. I mean, and it can coexist with all different types of restaurants. But it's just something different.
I was really surprised to find the array of foods on the menu, and a lot of them are very unique. Do you think that this allows some of the chefs to have a more innovative approach, or even sort of like a quirky approach to some of the foods? It was amazing how many varieties of things there are.
I mean, just like in brick and mortar restaurants, the creativity and the menus are completely dependent on the chef and the business behind it. So, I mean, a food truck can get as creative as a restaurant and vice versa. These are restaurants that happen to have wheels on them, so your expectation should be that you can get the same creativity, the same excitement, the same neat flavors from a truck that you can get from a restaurant. It is the exact same thing. We can just move. They could just
the
move.
Creativity is abounding in any case.
That comes from me.
Well, you encourage that.
I
and that's
dictate
part
those
of what you put in the
Bazaar.
No, I think that's part of what you encourage with the Bazaar. I watch trucks come in and all the different varieties, and then I watch the people follow. It's like you said, it's an atmosphere in itself with that. Now, with the success of the food trucks, it seems like social media is crucial to that. How much have Facebook and Twitter played in the role of what you've been able to do here?
I would say that all media is involved in this. I mean, I'm buying advertising in newspapers, as well as running a Facebook page for the event. We have a Facebook group for the event. We have this huge Twitter account. We have the blog, The Daily City. I think, though, that it really started with the first Bazaar in March of 2011. I mean, like, that first Bazaar, like, over 4,000, an estimated 4,000 people showed up. And I think that just had such an impact. And then that started the momentum, and then the Bazaars happened. I think that social media it's a way to get people aware of when the events are, where the trucks are going to be. But just as effective is this Bazaar. I mean, you should almost think of the Bazaar as kind of like a way to spread the word about the trucks.
Well, what works and doesn't work now that you've got
anything I do works. Everything anybody else does doesn't work. Does that answer?
No. What truly?
No?
What have you found that it just doesn't cut it? And I would never have thought about this, but when you're cooking, if you're on an uneven surface and you think, yes, you have a parking lot, but what if you're on an incline or a hill? The oil, when you're cooking, it changes, or the surface. These trucks are heavy. You know, how do you know that they're not all going to get stuck in the mud and you're sitting there?
I mean, the trucks that I deal with, I mean, I deal with about 40 or so trucks that I have hand-selected, that I've chosen, that I know are professionals, that do events all over the place, that do private events, that are on the street corners, they're out there constantly. They're professionals. They know what they're doing. I know that if I do my end of the bargain, if I do the marketing, if I get them the venue, if I make sure everything's running right, they should be able to drive up to the Bazaar, park, get ready, do their business, and then leave. Do their business, I didn't mean in a way that, go ahead. Point is like these are professionals. They know what they're doing, and you just have to provide them the platform and get out of the way.
And you have that platform so well organized at this point that that's why that it just keeps, it's rolling out now pretty much.
It's a very symbiotic partnership.
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
I think
that's a good description.
that the trucks in the city, because we're not on the streets, like we're not on the streets. I mean, there is one location that is going to be on the streets, but like we have had to adapt and be in parking lots and whatever, but that's benefited the trucks. I think like the bazaars have, I think we will eventually have trucks on the streets. I mean, in other cities they are on the streets, they're parked along the,
but right now it's mainly your
parking lots. And I think that's the way we've allowed
consistency
the industry to grow, even though we are not on the streets. You know, we're not like fighting to be on we have to be on the streets. We don't. We can be in these parking lots. We can partner with cities. We can find other ways to do it besides like completely mimicking what they do in other cities.
Are you seeing any other culinary gaps in maybe somebody wanting a different kind of truck in? Or you think you're pretty well covered now?
I get emails every day from people with the next new idea with a truck. I think everyone goes to a bazaar, they see what's out there, they go to several, and then they do their homework and they say, okay, well this is missing, and then they start their business. It doesn't make sense if you see a truck out there doing really well, it doesn't make sense to go into that same area.
Right, so it's not direct competition, it's selecting, like you said, and then actually it sounds more of a cooperative or a symbiotic atmosphere, even for the trucks themselves.
It's just a smart move. I mean, if you're a restaurant, if you're anything, if you're designing a car, you look at what's out there and you try to do something different. And if you don't do that, then you're going to go head to head with somebody. You don't want to. You can do that, and if your product is like amazing and your marketing is brilliant, that's one thing. But ideally, you want to sit down and come up with that next great idea, and then put that into your food truck, so that I go, oh my gosh, I can't help but want to have your truck in my event.
It's been almost 2 years now with the popularity, and still growing with that. Do you see this though as a passing trend, or do you see this as a permanent fixture in our Central Florida region?
Right now, people are, even after this amount of time, it's exciting. It's to some people, it's new. I mean, I'm still going out to new cities and they're being introduced. New to me. It's new to you, and I accept that. That is like totally a reality. It is an industry that is here to stay. It will have roots. Will the trucks today be here 5 years from now? I don't know. I think that there's going to be some fluctuations in that. But this is an industry that has proven itself in other cities. It's going to be around. I mean, and I think the Bazaar supports it. I think cities support it. Yeah, it's an industry that is just new to our town.
So I'll have time to work my way through all the trucks. Thank you, Mark, very much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. This was really fun.
I've been talking about the growth of food trucks in Central Florida with Food Truck Bazaar producer Mark Baratelli. Next, we'll learn what it takes to own and operate a food truck. But first, take a look at what happened during my first food truck experience. With Orlando restaurant critic Scott Joseph as my guide, I ate my way through a recent food truck bazaar.
So should we try a truck? Should we go over to Swedish?
I'm going to take your lead for it since I've never been in any of them. So.
Amazing. Amazing. I love it.
Big wheel provision.
Oh, well, everybody knows the must-have are the cupcakes.
Yes. I would just like to taste the meatballs, actually.
Okay, all right. Let's get some meatballs.
Thank you so much. My first experience with a food truck. All right. All right, I'm going to pick this up and bite it.
Just take the whole thing. Shove the whole thing in there.
Very good.
What I recommend to people when they first get to a food truck bazaar, don't just run up to a truck. Take some time and walk around, read the menu boards, see what they've got.
It would be fascinating just to go and read all the different entrees. So
you know the other really great thing about eating food truck food?
What?
Nobody cares if you use your hands.
What do we have? That's a half of our Tex-Mex sandwich. Tex-Mex, enjoy that.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Watch your slacks. Okay, I'll take the other end.
Oh, that's good. I never had brisket before. That's real tender. This is a fun, cool place. I mean, I love separately, I don't know whether I would eat them together. Oh, wow.
Go ahead and go
wow. Scott, you ready for some dessert?
Sure, let's get some.
try it and see what we can find.
And then this is our CNS brisket bacon brownie.
All right, you try the bacon brownie. I gotta see what you think about that. Can you taste bacon? I'm just gonna just try that.
Oh, we'll get a bigger bite now.
Oh, no. I've had so many calories tonight already. That's good.
When they got here. So we're actually going to be doing...
Joining me now is Joey Conicella, co-owner of the Yum Yum Cupcake Truck. Yum Yum Cupcakes have been sweetening Central Florida's food truck scene since debuting in March 2011, and a second Yum Yum truck was recently launched. Joey joins me now to discuss starting a food truck business and building a customer base. Joey, welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much for having us. Yeah.
How did you come up with the idea, the concept for cupcakes and a Yum Yum truck?
You know, the cupcakes were something that my partner Alex and I have always done together in our kitchen at home years ago.
So this was recreational cupcakes?
Oh yeah, always. You know, for friends, for parties, stuff like that, just for each other really. Sometimes we would just make them and throw them out, you know, when you're baking because you like to do it. It's not always for a reason. And I know to think of all the ones we throw out. But the
those were test tries.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, we'll chalk it up to that. But the actual truck itself, that was born out of really just necessity. You know, we thought we'd open a bake shop, you know, and figure it's Florida, it's a recession, we'd probably be able to find some deals. But really, the real estate was still very high. It was impossible to find any sort of lending. So the truck was really the only way that we could get our product out to the streets, you know, without, there's really no other way. You know?
So you had considered a brick and mortar bakery and decided to pursue the food truck route.
Yeah, sure. It was, I mean, it was, you know, there were no food trucks at that time in Central Florida, no gourmet food trucks. So, you know, to us, we didn't want to take the risk of trying to, you know, launch an industry. So we thought a shop would be the best way. And then when, you know, it was impossible because of the money, because of the real estate, we said, you know, let's just do a truck, see how, you know, maybe people will like it down here. Turns out they did. But, you know, it was a great risk, and it was very nerve-wracking to even think of that idea.
Well, your background, a lot of the food trucks have, the chefs have been professional in a restaurant or culinary experience.
Yeah.
How did you know that you had something that would really work, that people would like, and that you would get a following for this?
I have to be completely honest. We did not know that. My partner was in hotel management. I was in advertising for years. I actually went to UCF. But, you know, we never really set out to be the best. You know, it was never like, oh, we're going to be the best cupcakes in town. It was always about pursuing a passion and working together and owning our own business, creating a product that we liked and, you know, and our friends liked and our family liked. So we knew that we had something good, something that people would enjoy. I never thought it would be something that, you know, would gain us 6,000 followers in a year, or, you know, get us numerous Best of awards. That was never a thought. It was never even an ambition. It just happened.
So you had the first truck launched in 2011 of March, and now you've opened a second truck. So how are you measuring that business success? Is it more than you expected, or?
It is. It is a lot more than we expected. You know, success comes in many definitions. Our definition of success is being happy with the product that we do, being happy with every day that, you know, we're out. You know, I love getting up and going to work, putting on my bow tie.
That's
you know,
great.
Going into my bakery. We now have employees that help us, they're really just friends more than anything, and they all are doing their passion, which is baking. So it's really a neat opportunity to be able to go to work every day and employ people that also love to do what you're doing.
What about your initial investments, financially, the planning that went into this, the hours that you work? Are those what you expected them to be, or how has that worked out?
I come from a family of small business owners, and they all were like, oh, Joey, no. But, you know, because they all work around the clock. And they said, whatever you think it's going to be, money, you know, hours, just triple it, quadruple it. And they're right. I mean, there are some days that you're pulling, I mean, all, you know, 24-hour days. I mean, if that's what the business demands, you know, as a small business, you don't have this great reserve of staff and money and time. So
it's you, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm the IT guy, and I'm the, you know, the baker, and I'm a cupcake truck driver, and I'm everything. So it's, you know, it's a lot of work, a lot of time, and it's a lot of money, and we did not get funding from a bank, from a lender. We funded it ourselves. So, you know, the money was the risk that we took on. All of our savings, all of our credit extended, but you know, it's come back to us. So.
Well, you mentioned a number of things here. I think there's a misconception that having a food truck is a more simple process. Tell us a little bit. You have overhead, you have regulations.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for some trucks, how they run their businesses, it might be a simpler process, but for us, you know, we run a bakery, you know, very early in the morning, we're baking.
How early?
It depends on the day. We do a lot of our events at night, so it's 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. It's not necessarily too early. You know, so luckily we do a lot of evening events, but you know, we are there early, and all day long you're baking, and so you have a staff running then, and you have a facility, you know, churning out hundreds of dozens of cupcakes, and then you have caterings and weddings and wholesale, and then you have the events. So you have the trucks, 2 trucks now going out to 2 different events at the same time. You have the staff on those trucks. Trucks break down, they run out of gas, you know, code enforcement can come. You know, so many things can happen to a very simple day to make it very complicated. The weather doesn't help here in Florida.
That's true. You're dependent because you're outside so much.
Oh, well, when it rains, there's no customers. It's that simple. So, well, I mean, we have customers that come out.
I would think you would have customers for the cupcakes, especially when it rains, because they're a happy food.
They don't have to wait in line too long, so our customers come no matter what. But, you know, in general, the industry suffers when the weather's bad.
The food truck craze here has been a little less than 2 years, but there's already been some trucks that have come and gone. What do you think is so essential in keeping your business alive and thriving?
You know, to be perfectly honest, Alex, my partner, and I, we have taken everything that we've made from the business in the last, you know, year and a half, and we've put it back into the business. You know, if we've grown, you know, if I have any extra money, it goes into marketing, it goes into making T-shirts. You know, I think to continually to invest in your product, you know, that's why we're doing it, because we love what we do. So, you know, the trucks that have come and gone, you know, that maybe they think it was, you know, going to be less work, and it's a lot of work. You know, it's not, you know.
It sounds like it's almost like a 24/7 life-consuming kind of thing.
It's having a baby. It's like having a baby. You know, your life's over when you have a baby. It's all about the baby's life, and that, you know, we have 2 babies now. And, yeah, it's true.
You truly enjoy it. How much has social media played into the success that you have?
I'm a social person by nature. That's why I was in advertising for years. But the Yum Yum truck, specifically, social media is our business. I mean, when we're able to pull up into an empty parking lot and say that we're open, and we can have, you know, hundreds of people come out within 3 hours. So for us, our Facebook followers, they dictate our menu. They vote on our menu each month. They pick the flavors.
So is that how you know what they like or what they want?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think a lot of, you know, chefs and bakers, they want to bake what they like, and that might not sell in the restaurants, but I always found it better to ask the people what they want, because they're the one buying it.
But you have to have favorites.
Yeah, I do have favorites, I guess. I mean, anything that I come up with is my favorite. That's what Alex would say. But, you know, my favorite, I guess, would be our s'mores cupcake. It's a graham cracker crust, you know, very simple, classic dessert, but in a cupcake form. It's graham cracker crust, chocolate morsels melted over it, chocolate cake, and then a marshmallow frosting.
And that's something that you guys just tried out, and that was a test kitchen?
It was voted onto the truck, so then they voted it. We said, oh, we have to figure out something then, you know. That's the only problem when our followers vote on something, and that means we have to figure it out, you know.
Then you have to have the creative end to put it together and make it edible.
Yeah, exactly. Not only edible, but delicious, you know. So
yes.
it's a struggle sometimes, but for the most part we get it right, I hope.
Well, now your trucks have been throughout Central Florida and even over to Tampa. How do you know what the target audience is to be for you? Is that coming through social media as well?
It is. You know, some events are different. When we go to Tampa, you know, we're in the Channelside district. It's Ybor City. It's very young. You know, high rises, condominiums. So you're going to assume that demographic is younger. You know, that demographic, they tend to only buy 1 or 2 cupcakes, opposed to if we're in a Vito, then there are, you know, a lot of families. They're buying, you know, 1 cupcake for everybody.
I hadn't thought about that. The demographics make a big difference.
Yeah, and that's how we project what we're going to sell. And, you know, there's a whole science behind it. We just don't show up to a farmer's market with the same amount of cupcakes that we would show up to with a food truck bazaar. So, you know, we have to think about where we're going. We base it off of, you know, last time we were there, we create reports. Did it rain? You know, what was the traffic like? what was the demographic of people. So we try to make it as spot on as possible.
So the strategy and the planning behind it really is an integral part of what you're doing.
For sure. For Yum Yum it is. Every business, the food truck industry here in Orlando, it's, we all are very unified, but at the same time, every business is their own business person. They all run their trucks differently. For Yum Yum, yes, we put a lot of thought behind, who's coming to the events and if it's raining and stuff like that.
Well, one of the things that I've seen in the articles that I was reading, that food truck owners have expressed they like to work in small groups rather than off by themselves. So it seems like there's an air of cooperation rather than competition. Has that been your experience?
Sure. From day one, there was a food truck that did barbecue, Red Eye Barbecue. He closed, since closed, but his mother used to work the truck, and when we had first opened, I was a little nervous about being open late, and he was like, well, I'm a little nervous having my mother out on the truck late, so it was kind of one of those things like, well, let's park together. That way, there's always like safety in numbers. And then it kind of turned into, whoa, people can get dinner and then dessert. And then we added another dinner truck, and it was, oh, they have options, so they're bringing more people, and then it turns into like a food court.
So it's worked well for you like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, for sure. And
yes.
then you make, you have friends, and your truck breaks down, another food truck owner can come and help you, or we refer insurance agents, mechanics, everybody. We all kind of share.
So it's a cascading effect with that. Knowing what you now know, operating and owning 2 trucks, what would be your advice for a new prospective food truck owner?
Oh boy. A lot of food truck owners would, I think, dissuade somebody from getting into the business just because it's a lot of work. But I mean, if you really love what you do and you're really passionate about it, then go for it. It's not easy. There's a lot of really frustrating days when you say why. But I think for the most part, I think if you have a dream, then go for it. But the big advice would be to just stay true to your product and your customers, and always take them into consideration before you're doing something, and you'll be okay.
And keep trying the test kitchen cupcakes.
Oh yeah, that's always fun.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I've been talking about Central Florida's food trucks with the Daly City's Mark Baratelli and the Yum Yum Cupcake truck's Joey Conicella. Thank you for tuning in to UCF Metro Center Outlook. Until next time, I'm Diane Trees.
This program is made possible by funding from the UCF Metropolitan Center for Regional Studies, where government leaders, business executives, and academic experts come together to discuss major issues facing the state of Florida.